Good morning. I'm Billy Skaggs, Executive Director of Georgia Crop Improvement. First, thanks to the American Peanut Shellers Association for the opportunity to be with you today. Second, I'm very sorry I could not be with you in person. That said, I'm sure the Peanut Farm Show and the Seed Seminar will go off without a hitch, thanks to all those working behind the scenes to make it happen. Today, I'd like to give you a brief update on peanut seed quality and quantity for the 2025 planting season. In 2024, Georgia Crop Improvement issued almost 3.2 million peanut seed tags, as compared to 2.7 million tags the previous year, for an increase of almost 500,000 seed tags. Each tag represents a 50-pound unit of seed. Certified acres in Georgia increased to 141,000 acres in 2024, as compared to 131,000 acres in 2023. Those certified acres were made up of 21 different varieties. As in the past, Georgia 06G accounted for the majority of the peanut acres in certification, accounting for about 73% of the peanuts certified in Georgia, but that was down some from the previous year. Field inspections were conducted in August and September. When it comes to inspections, inadequate isolation is the most frequent issue, which might lead to rejected acres. Our standards require for an isolation distance of 4 rows or a minimum of 10 feet between all classes of certified seed from other varieties. Certified buying points were inspected in the fall, along with additional warehouse facilities. Thanks to all the buying point managers and their staff for their cooperation. Without their help, that process will be much more difficult. Currently, our staff are gearing up to inspect peanut shelling and treating facilities. Looking at certified acres here in Georgia year over year, we'll go through a few of these and kind of hit the highlights, looking at 23 versus 24. One notable addition this year was Arnie, a peanut variety out of Florida. New variety for us. We had just over 1,000 acres of Arnie. As I mentioned, Georgia 06G did decline some, while still the dominant peanut variety in Georgia. It went from 108,000 acres to about 103,000 acres. Georgia 12Y more than doubled, going from almost 4,900 acres to 10,000 acres. Georgia 16HO and 18RU also ticked up a bit. Looking on, if you look at the next slide here on varieties here in Georgia, 20VHO fell off a bit, fell off about 700 acres, whereas newer varieties like 21GR and Georgia 22MPR increased greatly, with 21GR having 1,800 acres and Georgia 22MPR at just over 1,000 acres. T61, a variety from Florida, also increased about 500 acres to just over 1,200. The biggest mover, as a when you look at it percentage-wise, was TIF NVHG. In 2023 in Georgia, we had just over 450 acres in production, and due to a lot of interest out there, it's gone up to last year 5,500 acres. Looking at the numbers from Alabama and Florida, and thanks to the folks at Southern Seed Certification for providing these numbers, Mr. Brandon Dillard and Dr. Jim Bostic, we appreciate their help in putting these numbers together for us. Look at 52N, went from 447 acres in 23 to almost 3,500 acres in 24. Scroll on down a bit, Arnie, a new variety, had 688 acres in Alabama and Florida. AUNPL 17 declined from almost 3,300 acres to about 1,900. And Georgia 06G went from about 7,700 to 8,700. Continuing to look at the production in Alabama and Florida, you'll note here, Georgia 12Y decreased from about 9,100 acres to about 7,600. Georgia 16HO saw an increase of about 2,500 acres to almost 8,900. IPG 913, a variety available from Nutrien, a new variety in Alabama and Florida, just over 1,000 acres. And then you look at the last line there, T61 went from 430 acres to 1,200 acres. So in Alabama, they went from about 29,000 acres to almost 34,000 acres when you look at it from 23 to 24. Looking at South Carolina, these numbers were provided by Brad Stansel with Clemson University Seed Certification. We appreciate Brad providing these numbers for us. The big thing that I would note here, 297 decreased almost 1,000 acres, and Georgia 16HO increased about 1,000 acres. And in South Carolina, they went from just under 6,500 acres to just over 7,100 in 2024. Anytime we talk about peanut seed, it's important to remind everyone about the intellectual property protection associated with these varieties. All the varieties noted in the presentation today do have plant variety protection or PVP protection. PVP does require a farmer to save enough seed to plant his or her own holdings, but no seed may be sold without permission from the variety owner. We also have some varieties which are protected by a patent. These include Georgia 18RU, Georgia Val/HO, Georgia SP RKN, Georgia 21GR, and Georgia 22 MPR. Remember, seed of patented varieties may not be saved. Looking at overall seed quality and quantity for this year, as we noted just a couple of slides ago, we saw movement 52N, 12Y, 16HO, 18RU, 21GR, 22 MPR, and TIF NVHG. All those were up year over year. With TIF NVHG, it's still relatively new, and there's a lot of interest of it. It really ticked up. I think it was from 450 acres to about 5,000 acres. So again, big interest there. And overall, we expect seed quantity will be adequate for this year. And talking with our state seed lab down in Tifton, that I stay in good communication with them as throughout the year, but especially this time of year, so that we know what's going on and what seed quality is looking like. And of course, they copy us on all those certified samples they received. But seed quality so far has been good. Now it is early, but overall germination rates on average have been in the 90s. The presence of aspergillus has been low. They have observed some minimal gray mold as well as some secondary molds. And so far, the majority of the lower quality seed has been from out of state, not here in Georgia. Samples received by the lab, certified samples, they've received 68 from Georgia and 139 out of state. Service samples, or what you might call preliminary samples, they received just over 1,000 from Georgia and about 443 from out of state. So again, while it's early, we're optimistic seed quality will be good for the 2025 planting season. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the folks at the Georgia Department of Agriculture Seed Lab here in Tifton. They do an outstanding job for us, and we're very fortunate to have the lab and their talented team to work with us on all these samples. So with that, just again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thanks to the American Peanut Shellers and for all the folks who are responsible for the Peanut Farm Show. Again, sorry that I couldn't be with you, but very happy that I was able to bring this message to you, at least digitally today.